What is up, guys? Now we are back with another reaction video with a video titled Disney pauses Tangled remake after Snow White disaster. Now if you guys remember the whole Snow White thing, I've done reaction videos on that. You guys check that out, it's insane. So this is obviously a positive thing now that they're deciding to do this, because obviously the backlash from Disney from the Snow White remake was obviously you've seen all the stuff online, right guys? So like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and let's get into it.
Well, guys, it seems like Disney might be finally learning their lesson. You all know that we followed the Snow White fiasco from the announcement of a live-action Snow White to Rachel Zegler casting to the PR disaster that led to the flop at the box office that did not return Disney's investment. Well, now Disney is saying they are stopping indefinitely the development of a live-action Tangled movie. And for those of you who are unaware, Tangled follows the story of Rapunzel and her love interest, Flynn Rider. Now, here's the news. It says development on the live-action Tangled movie has been stopped indefinitely. Now, I've been hearing some different phrasing of this indefinite stop. Culture Crave here says that Disney has paused development on the live-action Tangled remake, and this comes after the Snow White flop at the box office. Now, Disney is not coming forward and saying exactly why this Tangled live-action remake has been halted, and whether or not it's been just paused or indefinitely halting. More so, I've seen indefinitely, which means this is dead on the floor, on the development floor. But The Hollywood Reporter writes this: the pause occurs in the wake of the rather underwhelming release of Disney's latest live-action adaptation, Snow White. The movie has grossed only $69 million domestically and $149 million worldwide on a production budget of $270 million. The budget inflated due to the 2023 labor strikes. The film was plagued by controversial headlines from the start due to casting and creative choices, and then into its press tour due to social media posts from star Rachel Zegler, which we'll all remember what Rachel Zegler did. She did these posts hating on anybody who supported Donald Trump and essentially giving them a big you. She also went on the PR tour and said that Snow White wasn't feminist enough, that the Prince Charming in the original Snow White was actually a stalker, and that she was not going to be saved by the prince. In fact, she's going to save herself and become the leader she knew she could always be. We'll go back to the Hollywood Reporter. It says, but Snow White didn't fare well with the critics nor audiences, the latter of which had given it a B+ cinema score. Anything outside an A range is considered unsatisfying. It currently only has 50% on review aggregator Metacritic. So we all know that Snow White was a major flop, and we knew it was going to be that way for quite some time. And there was all this stalling with Snow White, some due to the writer's strike, but I think a lot of it due to the backlash that the movie was receiving as we were getting news of how this live action was going to pan out. And of course, Snow White, which was supposed to release in 2024, ended up releasing in 2025, and to not a lot of applause. In fact, it released to a lot of empty theaters and a lot of criticism, from everything to the CGI, to the political messaging into the show, to the lack of character development, but the many cast members and the diversified version of the DEI Snow White that we were all watching. There were so many things that went wrong with Snow White. And I have a feeling this is maybe why we're getting this pause/indefinite halt on the live action Tangled.
Yeah, well, this is obviously a good thing, guys, right? Because the Snow White movie was just bombed. It was, I mean, you know what? I didn't watch it technically, so I can't say that, but like, you know, going off everyone's reactions plus all the woke stuff they try to add into movies, like, you don't need to do all that, guys. Just make a movie. Just make a good movie. And now what I'm wondering, guys, is why do they keep doing this? Like, I know why they want to push a certain agenda, right? But like, there must be some really powerful people behind this that's pushing this, which, you know, you probably say that's obvious, right? But it's like, are you so obsessed with pushing an agenda that you don't want to make money? Because this is what will continue to happen. People won't come, people won't show up for the movie, and it's not because necessarily the people who, most people probably aren't that political, but they're just watching it and going, look, I came for the story, I came for the normal story, not to see the story shat on and just disrespected, right? So most people, even most casuals that are just not into politics, just won't come and see a movie. I'm surprised it made even that much money, but I guess that's like opening sales, I guess, or maybe just the first week of people just at least wanting to check it out. I'd love to know how many people actually stayed throughout the whole film, though, because that would be a funny stat to see. But
they said we probably need to go back to the writer's room before we release another live action again, because if they get it wrong after this Snow White thing, I don't know how Disney recovers from it. And they've really lost that classic magic that they had as a studio quite some time ago, and it's been gone for a while. They haven't been releasing a lot of original projects, and when they do, those projects have also been flopping. So I really wonder the direction that they were going to be going with in Tangled before all this Snow White news hit and before they decided to pause the development. Now, of course, people have been making jokes about this. Paul here on X says, oh, she was going to be black as hell. And you know, I wouldn't be surprised. We already saw what they did with Snow White. You know, Snow White was supposed to be as fair as snow, the fairest of them all. And then we got Rachel Zegler, who is clearly not that. And the way that the movie tied up that little bit of inconsistency is that they said that Snow White was named Snow White because she survived a snowstorm as a baby, and that Rachel Zegler's fairness and being the fairest of them all was really more about her heart than her skin tone. So I can only...
So was the snowstorm like right off the bat of her being born? Because why didn't she have a name before that? Yeah, that's such a stupid backstory to give her, like, because of a snowstorm. Wow, you know, it really makes me wonder, guys, who are the writers that are in the board right now? Because you see these like DEI hires and stuff like that. I mean, wow, it really shows how much it just don't work. Because if that's the best you could come up with, I mean, wow. Just hearing, I've already heard that before, but just hearing that again because of a snowstorm, that's the best you could come up with. Sad.
Only imagine where they would have been going with Tangled. Now, the black jokes are funny, right? We love diversity, and people say something like this. Probably had like Lizzo playing the female character or something like that. You know, my personal favorite is actually that Rapunzel was going to be bald. Here's one here. Disney has announced that Cynthia Erivo will be playing Rapunzel in their live-action remake of Tangled. You know, that's a way to really force representation. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair, or lack thereof. I really want to know what they were going to be doing. I wish we could have seen like a leaked original script of how this was going to play out. But I have to imagine now Disney is sort of quaking in their boots thinking, we have got to get this right. This has got to be a slam dunk if we're even going to take this out of the development stages and start production on it. And they've been given a mandate by everybody who is interested in seeing another Disney film from this point on that you have to have that Disney magic. And Tangled, this Rapunzel story, had that Disney magic in what, 2010 was when that movie released? So already, in my opinion, way too soon to be making a live action version of this movie, but that's what we're doing these days, reboots, live action. And I think when we look at the fact that that is the case, sort of speaks to the state of creativity in the West, not just in the United States, in the West, that we are not coming up with any beautiful original stories right now. We are just reverting back to what has worked in the past, maybe for a cash grab, maybe for lack of ideas, but if we're going to do that, you have to maintain the magic that existed in its original form instead of thinking, how in this modern day and age can we make this a better story? I'm very curious what they're going to do with Rapunzel because, again, she was made in 2010, at least this Tangled version of Rapunzel. I can't really see any political downfalls in the original movie that they would want to work up other than the lack of diversity. It is a heavily white film with Rapunzel, Flynn Rider, Rapunzel's whole town that she ends up being stolen away from Mother Gothel.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of these woke people, anytime they see a film that has no other colours but white people in it, it really scares them, guys. So I don't know what they're gonna do with the movie, but it really scares people when a movie has mostly white people in it or all white people, and it really scares people for some reason.
So I imagine there's going to be a lot of diversity injected into this live action if it ever gets brought to production, but there's really not much else that they can do here. Flynn Rider is not really this Prince Charming savior to Rapunzel, so they already sort of have a girl boss on their hands. I'm not sure you can make Rapunzel any much more of a girl boss, but if there's anybody who's going to be able to do that, it is modern Disney, as we witnessed with Snow White. Of course, there's more jokes. Here's another one. there's Rapunzel. You know, at the very least, if there's a princess where it makes sense to maybe race swap her a little bit, outside of the actual geographic implications of the Rapunzel story and of where it originates, you know, the girl who has to constantly brush her hair all day might just make sense to be black. Although Of course, I'm not advising that. Okay, let's make Rapunzel the way Rapunzel was meant to be made. And honestly, I think the right and the left is starting to converge on the point that we do not need to continue race swapping these characters. For one, it's not helpful to the actress that gets placed in that position. She's going to be set up for controversy just by virtue of taking the role in itself. But also, we know these characters. We know the original IP. We are nostalgic for what we've seen and what we know and what we've built a relationship with. So if Disney was smart, they would hold fast in, again, preserving the original Disney magic that brought about the success that was Tangled when it was released in 2010. They flopped so hard in Snow White, trying to be brazen and rewrite history and make something that is representative of its modern audience, and we all saw how that went. So maybe if Tangled ever gets picked back up off the cutting room floor, you stick to what Tangled actually is. Guys, and those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think Disney was going to do with Tangled before it got this indefinite stop. Let them know what you wish they would do with Tangled in the comments down below. I'm thinking it was going to be bald Rapunzel. No, it's a little bit of a stretch, I think, even for Disney. But guys, let me know what you think. As always, if you disagree with anything I said in this video, do get out, but do so respectfully.
Yeah, look, guys, look, like I said before, I want them to take Black Panther and make Black Panther white. That's what I want them to do. I want Marvel to do that, just to see people's reactions, to see why people are annoyed. I don't know why people love to see race swaps, just create a new character. Just goes to show how lazy writing has gotten, like she said, because writing is bad. Like, even, I think writing in this, I think this generation has to be one of the least talented generations ever, even with games as well. Like if you play games these days are rubbish as well, are just lazy writing as well. So I think this generation has to be one of the worst creatively. And then if you look at Disney, like she said, they have to remake all the old movies because no one wants to see any new stuff that they make, so they have to remake old movies to get that old fan base back into it, just to disappoint them anyway. So it's like you can't win. Obviously Disney will always make money, probably. Yeah, everyone still loves Disney. I wasn't really a big Disney fan growing up, so that's not really why I'm reacting to this. I just think it's important for movies across the board to just make a movie, make a good movie. That's what people want to see. But hey, if you're a Disney fan, let me know how you feel in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and peace. I'm out. Make sure you check out my other reaction videos on Snow White.